Stocks our strategists feel are poised to deliver positive returns are featured now in their top stock picks of the week.
Welcome to this week's Top Stock Picks of the Week. I'm Tracy Reinick, and I'm joined this week by David Bartosiak with a little bit of a different format because the internet outage that's happening in Chicago has hit us a bit here at Zacks. So we're trying a little bit different way to get you the content you want and to get you these stock picks this week, because I don't want you to be without your top stock picks of the week because there's some hot names. So let's dive right into what my stock is. It is Pioneer Natural Resources, ticker PXD. Yes, it's an oil stock. I know many of you aren't too hot to trot on those, but let's take a look at what's happening and why you should be as a trader. So this company just reported earnings, and because WTI crude is so high and natural gas, they crushed it. And you can see here, the analysts actually are increasing their earnings estimates, even though they were already increasing them into the quarter. Why? Because they had another big beat, and they had a record free cash flow of $1.1 billion in that quarter. They also raised their quarterly dividend to 62 cents or $2.48, which is yielding just 1.2%. That might not sound so great compared to, say, Exxon or one of the other big oil companies that they have refining and service stations. Pioneer is just an explorer getting it out of the ground. But they also are paying a special dividend. They announced a big one of those of $3.02, also payable in the fourth quarter. So that combined, they're paying one of the highest dividend yields in the S&P 500, little over 8%. And as the crude price, if it stays elevated, and with their hedging going into 2022, this dividend payout is going to be really hot. But let's look at what the estimates are doing, because it's been a long time since I've seen something like this. So last year, during the devastation of the pandemic, they only made $1.64. But this year, look what the analysts are expecting, with estimates being increased since the last earnings report up to $13.56. That is 726% increase. But the good news doesn't just end this year. Look at next year, another 64%, as they're expecting $22.36. That's probably because the hedging is going to be a little bit better for next year, and they're going to capture much more of this higher oil prices. Now, the CEO of Pioneer, who's been around for a while, has said that he thinks we're going to stay within the $70 to $80 range all through next year, and that's why you're seeing this big earnings increase. And they're going to be paying out 80% of this free cash flow out to shareholders. Now, another thing you should know about Pioneer is they have one of the best balance sheets in the business. With their debt leverage is very low, and that's how they're able to pay out this 80%. Also, they announced they're selling their Delaware Basin holdings for $3.25 billion. Any excess cash for that is going to go back in, I think, as share buybacks going forward. And now they're focused just on the Permian Basin. They're one of the biggest drillers in the Permian. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about what you're buying out there in terms of these oil stocks. You want the ones with the balance sheets, because when this cash flow is going crazy like this, they can give it back to you, the shareholder. So what does the earnings look like on a chart? Here you can see the decline last year, and then just this enormous gain for this year and next year. And this is what you want to see. But notice these shares right here. They are still lagging the 5-year high back in 2018 when crude was also in the 70s. They're not quite back there yet. So we still may have some room to run, even though these shares are up big year to date and over the last a year and a half since the pandemic started. So year to date, they're up 63%, but still trading with a forward P of just 13 times. So that E is really on fire. And so even though the shares have been in a big rally, look for them to remain cheap. Now, I do expect these shares maybe to pull back a bit here and take a breather, especially if WTI goes back into the 70s and holds into the 70s for a bit. So on these pullbacks, it is a chance to get into shares at slightly cheaper levels. So look for a pullback on this Zacks number one strong buy, and you may be able to get in at slightly better position. As you can see, there's been, even this year, a lot of these pullbacks right into here before this recent rally. So keep that in mind on any of these energy stocks. And I'm going to turn it over to Dave, who also had an interesting kind of industrial play here. That's a Zacks number one. This is an interesting show this week because neither one of us has a tech name. So I'm turning it over to Dave for his Zacks rank number one.
Thanks, Tracy. I've got my top stock pick of the week for you here. It's Alpha Metallurgical Resources, ticker AMR. Let's take a look at Zacks.com and see what I'm seeing. Alpha Metallurgical Resources is the Zacks ranked number one strong buy. Let's take a look at these style scores. The B for value, A for growth, A for momentum, help with a VGM composite score of A. It is in the mining business. We're talking about coal miners. Coal miners, Dave, are you nuts? Isn't that going the way of the dodo bird? Isn't it all over? Look, the numbers don't lie. Current year, 16.1% revenue growth. Next year, 34% revenue growth. And I know we want to be on our way towards a clean energy future. I understand that. But the fact of the matter is there's a ton of demand still for coal here. We still need those dirty old power plants to give us electricity. That's just kind of where we're at. Look at this. Next year, Zacks consensus estimate went from $6.72 to $8.56 to $40. That's insane. Huge number, huge move up there for next year. And even just look at the current quarter trend. Went from $2.30, $3.22, all the way up to $6.78. So these are huge moves, and that's why I'm really going to name this my top stock pick of the week, because of the huge growth here on AMR. So there you have it. That's Tracy and I's top stock pick of the week. Be sure to check out Zacks.com/promo for this week's promotion on tech innovators. For Tracy and I and everybody here at Zacks, we'll see you next week.